I warned my daughter not to come out to my wealthy, bigoted parents, but she didn't listen. Now they've disowned her, and she blames me. I, 45 female, am a single parent to 2 children, 17 male and 18 female, and I'm the unfortunate daughter to 2 boomers, both in their 70s. My parents are the epitome of the white, wealthy boomer stereotype. They are entitled, racist, sexist, maggot-brained bigots who abuse service workers for sport and think that attending church on Sundays makes them good Christian people. They are also stinking filthy rich due to them capitalizing on a series of business ventures in the 1970s and 80s, plus generational wealth, so they're packing 7-figure bank accounts. My entire life my parents have held their money over my head as a tool in order to get me to do what they wanted. In my teens I ended up rebelling and going no contact with them, but when I became pregnant by my late husband, he convinced me to give them a second chance and let them back into my life. Since we reconnected they have never given me a dime for my own costs, and even after I lost my husband, they only ever helped pay off the house my husband and I had bought together, but this was purely to keep the roof over their grandkids' heads, not their daughters. In spite of that though, they have truthfully been pretty good grandparents to my kids, and they have always known that they would fund them through college and that, on their passing, they were set to inherit millions. The issue began 4 months ago when my daughter came out to me. I was so proud of her. And that I had successfully fostered an environment where she felt safe enough to open up to me like this, I was so happy. Afterwards she broached the topic of extending the news to her grandparents, and that's where my smile faded. The following is an abridged version of what I told her. I want you to be your true self, and I will never deny you that, but your grandparents come from a very different world to the one you and I occupy. If they learn that you're gay, it's not just that they won't be able to understand you, they are going to actively punish you for it. Every day the world is becoming more and more difficult just to exist in, and your generation are eventually going to be facing challenges that my generation will never have to deal with. I want you to be safe and secure as you go forward in life, but because your father is no longer here to help support us, I've not been able to do right by you financially the way I wish I could have. If you come out to grandma and grandpa though, you will not be their gay granddaughter, to them you will just be another fag. They will cut you off. That will mean no more expensive gifts, no more car, no more free ride to college, no more private apartment, no inheritance, nothing. They will take everything. I told her that I was by no means asking her to stay in the closet, she can still live her life as out and proud as she wants. Get a girlfriend. Experiment intimately. But just do not advertise it on social media, and definitely not do it around my parents. My parents are old. They don't get out much anymore and mostly just spend their time going back and forth between church, the store, and home where they sit around reading conspiracies on Facebook. They are also not in good health, and I do not see them lasting more than 7 to 10 years. I told her that if she plays her cards right and lays low around them, she will never have to struggle the way so many of her friends are struggling, and that when the time comes she can choose to bury them in a rainbow coffin if she wishes. At the time she seemed sad, but she said that she understood, and we hugged it out. And that was that. Until it wasn't. My daughter has an online circle of queer friends that she speaks with daily through her Discord, and they have been filling ears with things like how she needs to come out to them, how by not embracing her identity fully she still has one foot in the closet, that even if her grandparents react negatively, at least she'll be living her authentic self. Since she started bringing it up I have been trying to drill into her just what a terrible idea this was, often and repeatedly, and I thought she was listening. Well, it happened. We had my parents over for dinner, and she decided to stand up in the middle of dessert and come out to them. She had this whole speech prepared, about how she knows that they are from a different time, about how the world changes, and how they will have to learn to change too, but that she knows deep down that they will come to accept her in time. It was like watching a car crash in slow motion, only my daughter was in the driver's seat, and the brake was completely out of my reach. After she was finished my parents just gathered their things and walked out. That was a month ago, and they have since disowned her completely. Last week we received the news that they have written her out of their will. They have cancelled her phone contract and taken back the car that was in their name. My daughter was set to inherit millions, and now she will be receiving nothing. She is currently preparing for college, and now she's facing the reality that she'll have to take out loans and get a job. Even if I anticipated this response from them, I am still thoroughly sickened, and I have cut them off for once and all. One of the last messages they sent to me was, "We worked hard for our money and she won't be using it to fund her degenerate lifestyle." This was the little girl whose hand they once held in the park, whose little body they once carried on their shoulders. I feel sick. My daughter is inconsolable, but she has turned her anger against me. She is blaming me for this entire thing, and every day she alternates between raging and crying and raging again. Our home has become completely inhospitable. Things have been broken, and my son and I are walking on eggshells. This whole time I have just been taking her crap, but last night we had another confrontation, and she screamed at me that this was all my fault, and that I just wanted her to live in a closet her entire life, and that I have never supported her, and this time I just snapped. I yelled back that I had warned her, that I warned her, and she chose not to listen. That her and her pack of stupid online friends, people who have never even met my parents, they all thought that they knew them better, and you decided to listen to them over than one person in this world who was actually raised by them. But I had advised her on the best investment she would ever make in her life, and she had blown it completely. Since then she's been upstairs crying in her room, and I just don't know what to do. How in the hell am I supposed to navigate this situation? What could I have done to protect her from this? Am I really at fault here? What could I have done differently? Edit. I wanted to clear a few things up before I go because I just feel drained. 1. I never once told my daughter that she can't be gay in public. She can get 6 girlfriends and walk around with one on a lead for all I care, so long as it's all consensual and she doesn't end up on the local news. I only ask that she keep it off of social media, which her grandparents were a part of. 2. The reason my children's father isn't around is because he is dead. He was struck and unalived by a drunk driver 10 years ago. I have never remarried. 3. I have already disowned my parents once and for all. Please stop telling me that I need to stand up to them and defend my daughter. I have already told them exactly what I think of them and they don't care. 4. My son will not be receiving my daughter's portion of the inheritance. That has apparently already been allocated to go towards outside groups of my parents' choosing. As for what types, you can use your imagination. 5. I do think that what my daughter did was foolish, unwise, and ultimately stupid in the context of the security of her future. An unpleasant part of parenthood that people rarely talk about is that sometimes your children will do and behave in ways that will make you dislike them. By lashing out, abusing her brother and I, and breaking things around the house, right now I do not like her. But I do love her, and that love is unconditional. I will never do to her what my parents did to me, and I will continue to support her through this, and maybe some way we can find a resolution. I don't expect I'll update this post. Bye. Thanks again to everybody stopped by with advice and suggestions.